Good morning, children. In our previous class, we had been discussing about the different characteristic features of the kingdom fungi. Fungi is the third kingdom that we were discussing about, and we discussed some of the general features of the kingdom fungi. Hope you are remembering. Who will tell me some of the features? Malavika, tell me one point about fungus.
They are heterotrophic.
A little louder, child.
They are heterotrophic.
They are heterotrophic. To be specific, which mode?
Saprophyte.
Yes, saprophytic mode of nutrition where they feed on dead and decaying organisms. Donna, another point.
They are cosmopolitan and they
Yes,
occur in air, water.
yes, child.
Not audible.
Somebody called me just now. No. Okay, continue, Donna. You were saying a point.
They are cosmopolitan and they occur in air, water,
Yes,
and
you
in
can
the
find them in
body.
diverse habitats. Another point, Lydia.
Ma'am, they are used to make penicillin.
They are
Used to make penicillin.
a little louder, please. Huh.
They are used to make penicillin.
I can't get you, pardon?
Penicillin.
Okay. Oh, they produce antibiotics like penicillin. Okay, from Penicillium notatum we get antibiotics like penicillin. So it is economically useful. Any other point, Nevin?
I'm used for making beer and bread. This white
Yes.
spot on
Which
belly.
organism? Can you specify the organism?
Yeast.
Yes, very good. Yeast is used in the large scale production of bread as well as beer. So today let us learn more about this particular kingdom, that is kingdom fungi. I think we just started about mycelium and hyphae too, isn't it? Punya, what is the difference between hyphae and mycelium?
The slender thread-like structure.
Structures are known as hyphae. And mycelium? Can't hear you.
The collection of hyphae is called
network
mycelium.
of hyphae, you can call it as mycelium. So let us see more about hyphae and mycelium. Okay. So the picture of mycelium and hypha you can see here. As I told you before, hypha means in a fungus, it consists of slender thread-like structures. You call it as hypha, plural is hyphae. And when so many hyphae, they are interconnected, you call it as mycelium. And the same point is given over here. Yeast, as I told you, it's a unicellular fungus, but majority of them. Others are filamentous, and the body consists of slender, thread-like structures known as hyphae. Then after that, we discussed about mycelium. Mycelium is formed by a network of hyphae. When several hyphae join together, you call it as mycelium. And then I think we started with the categorization of different types of mycelium or hyphae. So here in the figure, you can find two types of hyphae, septate hypha and aseptate hypha. Cenocytic, you can even call it as aseptate. Aseptate hypha and septate hypha. So the difference between both, is that septa means crow's walls. Septum means crow's walls. So in the first type of hypha, you can find some crow's walls over here. Notice carefully, you can find some crow's walls or separations which will divide the hypha into different compartments or different cellular compartments, whereas these septum or these septa plural, septum singular, you cannot find them in the second category. You can find septa only in the first type. When septa are present, they will divide the hypha into different compartments. As you can see in the figure given, only one nucleus, dark purple color you can find, or dark violet. These are nucleus. Just 1 minute. These are the nucleus. Plural is nuclei. So in each compartment, majority of the cases, you will find a single nucleus. But sometimes, even in septate hypha, you can see multinucleate, or in the same compartment, you can find more than nuclei rarely. But in majority of the cases, when the hypha are septate, means when they are divided with cross walls, you will find a single nucleus in each compartment. So septate hypha. In the second category, septa absent. So they are, as I told before, they are aseptate, no septum. So when septa are absent, you can find so many nucleus within the same segment or same hypha. You will find plenty of nucleus. When so many nuclei are found, you can call it as multinucleated hypha. Same meaning, xenocytic hypha. Xenocytic is same as multinucleated, several nucleated, many nuclei. Clear? Once again, I will repeat. We were discussing about the categorization of septate hypha and aseptate hypha. Septate hypha, as the name suggests, they have septum or cross walls dividing the hypha of filaments into several compartments. And as a result, the number of nuclei present in each compartment will be limited. It can be uninucleated or multinucleated. But when it comes to xenocytic, always it will be multinucleated. The reason is there is no septum. No septa are present. As a result, so many nuclei. You can see many cytoplasm of several cells are merged together. No septa to divide it into different compartments, and you will find many nuclei. So when many nuclei are present, you can call it as xenocytic hypha. Xenocytic or aseptate, and the other one is septate hypha. And when the septate hypha are joined together, it forms which type of mycelium? Septate mycelium. And when the mycelium comprises of xenocytic or aseptate hypha, you will call it as xenocytic mycelium or aseptate mycelium. Mycelium depends upon the hyphae with which they are formed. Once again, two types, septate and aseptate. Septate means, what do you mean by septate? Aseptate first I will tell you. When the hyphae are continuous with multinucleated cytoplasm, you call it as xenocytic. Whereas when these septae or cross walls are absent, you call it as aseptate. And the next point, hope you have understood the difference. It's important, children, hope you have understood. Any doubt means you can ask me. Next point is that the fungal cell wall, about the cell wall. Just like plant cells, fungus, they also have a cell wall. And in plants, what makes up the cell wall? What makes up the cell wall? Sharon, in plants, cell wall is made up of?
Chitin.
No, I am asking not about fungi. I am asking about plant cells. Plant cell wall is made up of a carbohydrate. Can you name the carbohydrate starting with C? Starting with C. Who will tell me the answer? Yes.
Cellulose.
Cellulose. Sania, good. It's cellulose. So cellulose is a complex carbohydrate which makes up the cell wall in plants. But In fungi, they are made up of other substances. It's made up of another complex carbohydrate. You call it chitin, and also some polysaccharides or sugars. These two substances make up the cell wall in fungal cells. Have you understood, children? So in this, we learned about two types of mycelium or hyphae, and also about the substances that make up the cell wall in fungus. The fungal cell wall is made up of two substances, chitin and polysaccharides. Polysaccharides and chitin make up the cell wall in fungus or fungi cell wall. And we learned about two types of hyphae, cenocytic hyphae and cenocytic or aseptate hyphae and septate hyphae. Hope you know the difference between both cenocytic, no septum, and multinucleated. When it comes to septate, crow's walls are present, separating the hyphae into different compartments. Any doubt, children, this particular slide? I hope you have no doubts, and I'm moving on to the next slide and more about fungal kingdom. Fungi are saprophytes that you already know. Fungi, they are saprophytes. Saprophytes means what? What are saprophytes? Just now in the beginning of the class, somebody told me. Somebody unmute and tell me what are saprophytes.
They feed on dead and decay.
One of you loudly. Anybody? Start, no problem. One of you take the
They feed
initiative.
on dead and decaying matter.
Yes, they feed on the dead and decaying matter. So such organisms which feed on the dead and decaying particles are known as saprophytes. They absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrates. Now, some of them lead a parasitic life. And I think I had already told you about an organism, a fungus, which causes ringworm infection, Microsporum. I don't know whether you remember. Microsporum is a fungus which causes infections in your body. They can lead a parasitic life. Parasitic life means they will live inside or outside the body of the host, and they'll be taking nourishment. Now, moving on to the next method of nutrition you find in them. Some of them lead a symbiotic life. Symbiosis means it's a mutual association where two organisms live together and they share their shelter and nutrients. Once again, fungi, either they can lead a saprophytic life or they can be parasites, or some of them they lead a symbiotic association, or they live as symbionts, or they live in symbiotic association, which means symbiotic relationship means two organisms, they live together and they'll be sharing their shelter as well as nutrients. So fungi, they also can live in symbiotic relationship. There are two such forms. One is known as mycorrhiza. The other symbiotic form is known as lichens. I'll tell you what is the significance of lichens and mycorrhiza. In lichens means here an alga and a fungus will live together. Lichen is a symbiotic association between an alga and a fungi. And here what happens is, in a lichen, alga will provide food, or they will prepare food and provide it to fungi. What the fungi will do? Fungi will provide water and nutrients. So fungi, its role is to provide water as well as nutrients. I'll repeat once again. We were discussing about the symbiotic relationship between fungi and alga. You call such a symbiotic association between alga and fungus as lichens. And each one, alga and fungus, both take up their role over there. The role of fungi is to absorb water and nutrients and provide it to the alga. In return, alga will prepare food and provide it to fungus, a mutual association. So that was about lichen. Now let's see about the next symbiotic association, that is known as mycorrhiza. And here the fungus is entering a mutual association between the roots of higher plants. They will enter into a symbiotic association with the roots of higher plants. And here also fungi, they will do the same function. They will absorb nutrients and water. Whereas the roots, the plants, they will prepare food and provide it to fungus. So mycorrhiza is a symbiotic association between the roots of higher plants and fungus. Fungus will absorb water and nutrients for the plant, and in return the plant will provide it food. Hope you have understood these two symbiotic associations shown by fungi. So in this slide, we were discussing about the different modes of nutrition exhibited by fungi. And as we had already discussed, they can lead a saprophytic life where they feed on dead and decaying matter, and some of them lead a parasitic life, and some of them enter into a symbiotic association either with algae, then you call it as lichen, or it can enter into a symbiotic association with the roots of higher plants, and you call it as mycorrhizae or mycorrhiza singular. Any doubt? Next, we are moving on to the reproduction taking place in fungi. They show different modes of nutrition. You can find different modes of nutrition, not only sexual, asexual modes, vegetative propagation. So you can see so much of diversity in their modes of reproduction. They can either carry out vegetative propagation, and vegetative propagation, they are of different types. Three modes of vegetative propagation. They can carry out fragmentation, they may carry out fission, or even budding. And in 10th standard, you might have learned about these three methods. Still, very briefly, I will tell you what are these three methods. The first one, the first method of vegetative propagation is fragmentation. As the name suggests, the organism, the fungus, its filament will break up into small fragments, and each fragment can develop into a new fungus. Okay. Next method is fission. Fission, the word meaning is splitting. They will undergo splitting. The filaments or the cell can split, and each new part can form into a new organism or a new fungus. And the last method of vegetative propagation is budding. Yeast is a typical example where budding takes place. Small buds will appear on the body or the cell of this fungus, for example yeast, and later these buds will get separated. Each one will develop into a new individual. I'm not going into the details because you have learned it in detail in your 10th standard. So that was about vegetative propagation. And it can even carry out asexual methods through spores. You will be learning in detail in the previous class, or if time, today we'll be learning. And another one is sexual reproduction. Both sexual and asexual reproduction can be carried out with the help of spores. There are spores specialized to carry out sexual reproduction as well as asexual reproduction. So once again, we will repeat what we were discussing in this particular slide, and be attentive. You should answer my questions, okay, after this. Any doubt? Clarify now itself. So I was saying about the method of reproduction. Reproduction is carried out by different methods in fungi, or else you can say they show too much of diversity in the modes of reproduction. They can even go for vegetative, sexual or asexual methods of reproduction. And vegetative reproduction takes place by three methods. Which are the three methods we discussed? We said about fragmentation, fission and budding. These are the three asexual methods of reproduction. Sorry, vegetative. Vegetative is also a method of asexual reproduction, but to be specific, these are the three types of vegetative propagation. Then they can even carry out sexual and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction are carried out with the help of spores. There are specialized spores which carry out asexual reproduction as well as sexual reproduction. You call them as asexual spores and sexual spores. We will be learning more about sexual reproduction after having a recapitulation of what we had covered just now. Any doubts before I proceed? Do you have any doubts regarding what we have covered so far? Anybody? Sure? No doubts. Okay. What is meant by septate mycelium? Evelyn, what do you mean by septate mycelium?
Septate mycelium means that have
They have they have septa or septum or Crowe's
different
walls, which will divide hypha into
different compartments,
different compartments. Very good.
dividing
And
hyphae into
yes, yes, Evelyn. Your answer is correct. Okay. Let me move on to Michael. Michael, you were searching for the answer over there? No. Were you listening? Yes or no? Yes. Now tell me what is meant by cenocytic mycelium or hypha. Don't disappoint me. Don't refer. You memorize.
The cenocytic hyphilium have continuous tubes.
Yes.
And it's
what is absent there, child? What is absent over there? Something is absent. Just now Evelyn was saying about septate hypha. Here what is absent in cenocytic? What is absent? I'll come back to you. Gayatri, I'll come back to you. Listen. Gayatri, tell me. Cenocytic hypha means what?
The hyphae in which there is a continuous tube-like structure with
why it is continuous? What is absent over there?
septa.
Septum or septa, they are Crowe's walls. So what is the speciality of cenocytic hypha? What will be more over there?
Nucleus. They are multinucleated.
Yes. Multinucleated. Several nuclei will be there. So again, coming back to Michael, repeat the answer.
Okay, they have continuous walls and they lack septae or septa.
There are or there are no septa?
There are no septa.
Yes. So as a result, what do they have in extra? What do they have in excess? Which is the control center of the cell?
Nucleus.
So what do they have in extra?
Nucleus.
Nuclei. They have several nuclei. Michael, be present here both physically and mentally. Okay. Okay. Any other doubts, children? No. So let me know which are the different different modes of carrying out vegetative propagation. Steffi? Steffi? Where are you, Steffi? Yes. Which are the different modes of vegetative propagation? I can't hear you. What happened? Your voice is... Can't hear. Anna, I'll come back to you when your connectivity gets back normal. Yes, Anna?
Ma'am, fragmentation, fission, budding.
Fission, budding and fragmentation. And children, once we have completed a particular topic, when I am asking you the questions, I want you to memorize. I want you to recollect and say the answer. I know all the points are written in your textbook. Once you search your textbook, you will get it. But I want you to recollect what we discussed and then try to say. Let it be wrong, no problem. You can tell in your own words also, no problem. But don't read out from the textbook. I'm not saying Anna did that. It's generally I told. Okay. And then we learned about two more methods other than vegetative propagation, Which are those two methods, Rijas?
Asexual method and
Asexual and sexual method of reproduction. And Alvin, what happened to your video? And Redmi, let me know who has entered as Redmi. Redmi. Who has entered as Redmi? Anyways, let me continue. No doubts, no children? So we are moving on to learn more about the sexual method of reproduction. Asexual and sexual, we will be learning. Just 1 minute. Okay. So already about vegetative propagation we have discussed, and I told you that there are two more modes of reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. And asexual reproduction takes place through spores, and these spores are known as conidia or sporangiospores or zoospores. So in the beginning I told you both sexual and asexual reproduction can take place by means of spores. Spores are specialized to carry out both sexual and asexual methods of reproduction. And some of the asexual spores are conidia, sporangiospores and zoospores. So these are some of the asexual spores commonly found in kingdom fungi. Once again, asexual reproduction is taking place through spores like conidia, sporangiospores, zoospores. Make it thorough because you are going to learn about the names of so many other spores now. Conidia, sporangiospores and also zoospores. Now coming to the sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, you can find yet another spores, oospores, ascospores, basidiospores. These are some of the spores which help the fungus to carry out sexual reproduction. And as you know, spores will be produced in specialized fruiting bodies. Fruiting bodies are known as sporangium. Sporangium is a fruiting body where spores are present, and there will be different names for the sporangium depending upon the spores they are producing, which you will be learning slowly. So once again, we were learning about the different modes of reproduction in fungi, and in the beginning you learned the different types or different modes of nutrition, starting with starting with vegetative propagation, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. And vegetative propagation, I told you there are three methods: fragmentation, fission, budding. Once again, fragmentation, fission and budding. These are the three types of vegetative propagation. And moving on to asexual and sexual reproduction, I told you that both takes place by means of spores. Asexual as well as sexual reproduction takes place by means of spores. Let us see the names of asexual spores once again. It's carried out by conidia, sporangiospores or zoospores. Conidia, sporangiospores or zoospores. Okay. Now coming to sexual spores, oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. And all these spores are produced in specific or specialized fruiting bodies. You call it as sporangium. Okay. So you should not get confused between the names of sexual spores and asexual spores. Once again, the names of the spores: asexual spores include conidia, sporangiospores, zoospores. Whereas in sexual reproduction, oospores, ascospores, and basidiospores. More number of spores you will be learning. These are just examples. So see that when you learn some terms newly, make it thorough so that you will not have any confusion once I introduce more and more new terms. Now moving on to sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves 3 steps. The first step is known as plasmogamy. The first step is known as plasmogamy. Gamy means fusion. Syngamy you have learned in 10th standard. Gamy indicates fusion. Plasmogamy. Protoplasm is fusing here. So sexual reproduction has got 3 steps. First step is plasmogamy. Plasmogamy means fusion of protoplasm between the gametes. The gametes can be not, in human beings you have learned that male gamete is non-motile, cannot move. Female gametes can move. But here there can be, both gametes can be motile or non-motile. Details you will learn later. So the fusion of protoplasm of 2 gametes which are either motile or non-motile is known as plasmogamy. Remember the term gamy fusion. Plasma or plasmo stands for protoplasm. So here there is a fusion of protoplasm of 2 motile and non-motile gametes. Next one, second step, karyogamy. Karyogamy indicates the fusion of nucleus. So karyogamy, and in karyon, the word meaning. Karyon means nucleus. Karyon, the word meaning is nucleus. So gamy, fusion. Karyogamy, fusion of nucleus. Once again, karyogamy, gamy fusion, karyon is nucleus. So first is the fusion of protoplasm, then the fusion of nuclei. And the third and the final step is the zygote. It undergoes meiotic division. You have learned about mitosis and meiosis in 9th standard, I suppose. So reduction division. You will learn about that later in detail. Mitosis and meiosis. So meiosis happens in the zygote, resulting in the formation of haploid spores. So once again, we will see the different steps or stages in sexual reproduction. First one is plasmogamy, where the protoplasm will be fusing. Protoplasm of 2 motile and non-motile. Motile capable of movement, non-motile cannot move, incapable of movement. When these two fuse, you call it as plasmogamy. And karyogamy is the second step where the nuclei fuses, and the last step is meiosis, or even you call it as meiosis. Meiosis and mitosis. Meiosis is a reduction division where the chromosome number will be reduced. Chromosome number, you might be remembering all that, the reduction division taking place while the gametes are being formed. You will learn about that later. So third step is meiosis. Here the zygote formed as a result of fusion of the gametes will undergo reduction division, and they will form haploid spores. Once again, they will form haploid. Haploid means unpaired. They have unpaired chromosomes. Usually in your body cells, chromosomes will be in the paired condition. We say we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, but in the gametes, in the egg as well as in the sperm, the gametes, the chromosome number is not 23 pairs, it is 23. So it is in the unpaired condition. So such a condition you call it as haploid. When chromosomes are paired, diploid. Chromosomes are unpaired, haploid. In gametes we have 23 chromosomes. So it is haploid, unpaired. In body cells we have 46. It's paired, 23 pairs, so it is diploid. Any confusion? So that was about the 3 steps involved in sexual reproduction. Once again, all the 3 we will say once again, and after that we'll wind up. So starting with the first one, plasmogamy, where protoplasm is fusing. Second one, karyogamy, where the nuclei are fusing. And third one, meiosis or meiosis, where the zygote undergoes reduction division forming haploid spores. Any doubt? Any doubt? Children, do you have any doubt?
No,
I'm
ma'am.
waiting for your response. Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No doubt. Which are the 3 steps involved? Sania, 3 steps involved in sexual reproduction?
Plasmogamy.
Yes. Second?
In which karyogamy.
Karyogamy. Third one?
Then meiosis.
Very good. What is karyogamy, Sharon?
Fusion of nucleus.
Louder.
Fusion of nucleus.
Very good. Very good. Fusion of nucleus. What is plasmogamy, Donna?
Ma'am, fusion of protoplasm between 2 motile and non-motile
No. Motile or non-motile gametes.
gametes.
And when meiosis or meiosis takes place in zygote, what are formed? Meenakshi, what are formed when zygote undergoes reduction division?
Haploid spores.
Louder.
Haploid spores.
Very good. Haploid spores. Okay, children, shall we wind up today's session? Thank you.